Hello, and you're welcome here to another edition of Unfiltered Conversation on Cleveland TV. My name is Franka Idemudia, and like always, I like to encourage you to keep signing up with us on www.cleveland.com. Believe me, this is just to connect you with the rest of the universe. All right, today we'll be discussing building a stronger connection between Africa and the global diaspora. And my guest is Dr. Malcolm Beech. Dr. Malcolm Beech is the President, African Diaspora Roundtable. Doctor, you're welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me on your show today, Franca.
Yeah, good to have you on board. All right, let's start with this. Could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Dr. Malcolm Beech, and I'm from Washington, D.C. in the United States. And I'm co-president also of another group called the Africa Diaspora Alliance. And we're co-sponsoring the Global African Diaspora Symposium along with the Nigerian Diaspora Organization.
It's all right. Good to have you here. You are from the United States, and you obviously have an event in Abuja in Nigeria, which is the Global African Diaspora Symposium 2023. Can you tell us more about that event, about the Abuja event?
Yeah, the idea of the symposium is to bring together the best minds in the diaspora to come up with solutions for some of Africa's difficulties. You know, Africa has a few difficulties, and I think that the diaspora can be helpful in solving some of those problems. We have many resources in the diaspora, not only money, but the intellectual and educational capacity to solve problems. And that's what we hope to do if we can work together with the various African countries to ask them to allow the diaspora to be part of their problem solving. You know, many countries appreciate the remittances that come from the diaspora, but we've got to do the same thing with information and other financial resources. So that's what we're going to talk about in the symposium, some of the best ways for the diaspora to help Africa.
Wow, that's beautiful. Let's discuss the visions, all right, the vision, the focus, all right, and then also the goals of the Global African Diaspora Symposium. What are their goals? What are their visions or their missions? Let's extensively discuss that.
Well, like I said, the primary goals of the symposium is to bring together some of the best minds in the diaspora and have them give their opinion about solutions to help solve Africa's problems. In other words, we'll have speakers at the symposium from Australia, the Caribbean, the United Kingdom, America, and maybe even Brazil. We hope to get one or two experts from Brazil to come in and share their thoughts about things that the diaspora can do to help Africa.
Well, that's a good one. But let's discuss African problem, all right? Many people will say it's more of an economic problem, okay? Let's discuss African problem. You guys are coming in to make the necessary change and to help build a system. What exactly do you think, as an expert, is the problem of Africa?
Well, first of all, Africa has about, 1.3, 1.5 billion people, and many of these people are in poverty, you know, and when you're in poverty, you know, you have health problems, your lifespan is shorter, the children don't get educated, there's no wealth transfer from generation to generation because there is no money. And that leads to a lot of problems with housing. There's issues with transportation and infrastructure. There's a lack of major manufacturing capability in Africa. Africa imports a lot more than it should from other countries. You know, Africa should be self-contained. You've got the most arable land in the world that you can grow anything on. But Africa still imports food. You know, there's something wrong with that picture. And what we're saying is that the diaspora can be helpful in solving some of these problems. And that's what we're going to talk about in the symposium, to try to come up with what are the best ideas to solve some of the problems in Africa.
But now, beyond this GAP symposium, okay, now after the GAP symposium, which is the ABUJA event now, how do you intend to relate the message, all right, to the entire system? Because definitely you will not have the entire system at the events, okay? And for me, we've had a series of people have symposiums like this, events like this, talking about how to make a change. But at the end of the day, after the program, how do you intend to implement your ideas to the general Africa?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, we can talk about it all day long, but what happens after the symposium is what's going to be important. We're asking the African governments, the AU included, to begin to engage more of the diaspora in their problem-solving efforts. Right now, there's no clear link between the diaspora and many African countries. The Nigerians have one of the best and largest diaspora organizations as part of the government. Some other countries have 1 or 2 people involved, but the Nigerians have close to 100. It takes human resources to solve problems and reaching out to solve problems. The diaspora is not, by definition, the diaspora is not in Africa, okay? So it's around the world, it's globally located.
Yes,
and somebody has to figure out a way to engage them in the conversation and the problem solving. And that's one of the outcomes that we're looking for in the symposium, to find a way to engage the diaspora in solving the problems, creating the dialogue. I mean, a lot of people have talked about problems in Africa, and they say, well, Africa for Africans. Well, the diaspora are just as much a part of Africa as the people that are living in Africa. The diaspora, that's our home. You know, that's our family. That's our people. You know, we all consider ourselves Africans, even though we don't live there. And that is something that we've got to make sure that all the people that do live in Africa understand. This is an advantage that you have, to have your children, the sons and daughters of Africa willing to help. You already know how the diaspora does with remittances. The amount of money that comes from the diaspora to Africa now exceeds any kind of economic donation from all the other countries of the world put together. So we're already generating dollars and contributing to the economy of all the African countries. It's without a doubt. And so we're saying, let's do more. You know, let's engage in some of the other areas that need help, that they don't have problems to solve. You know, many of the conflicts in Africa now resolve around money and resources. Maybe if we could come up with some solutions that would reduce some of the conflicts in Africa. People are always fighting, but they're really only fighting about money and resources. And if we could figure out a way to equalize the amount of resources people require to live comfortably, then maybe there won't be so many conflicts. I think that the diaspora has a lot to contribute. And this symposium is going to be the beginning of the conversation.
Wow. That's a beautiful one. Now, the event of tomorrow, starting tomorrow, is it the first of its kind in Africa? Is it an inaugural event, or you've had a meeting of this sort before now?
Now, we had a symposium about 3 years ago in Nairobi, Kenya. Okay, that was our first symposium, and it was relatively small, but it had the input from the diaspora across the world. And that's why we decided to plan a second symposium, and we've got the support of the Nigerian government and the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, and that's how we're going forward. And we've got a lot of other organizations that are participating globally, and we hope to come away from this with an organized global organization that can provide the solutions to the problems that we've talked about.
All right. So can you share with us some of the good reports, okay? The advantageous reports from your last edition of the symposium?
Some of the people that you're saying that are coming, is that what you're asking me?
No, I wanted you to discuss on any good reports from the last symposium you had.
Well, I'm saying that the last symposium, we got a lot of good response from people that everybody's aware of the diaspora. The diaspora has hundreds of organizations across the globe, but they're not networked together.
Okay.
They're not communicating together. They're not providing solutions to the same problems together. And that's what we intend to work on in this symposium, to hopefully we can join together and come up with the same solution and present that to the African governments. The African governments have to be willing to accept some of our suggestions. And they should be willing to do that if we work together on it. We're not working by ourselves. We're going to be working with the African governments to come up with these solutions. There's a lot of barriers out there now, as you well know, between African countries. You know, the Africa Free Trade area is very significant in terms of dropping the barriers between the countries, the trade barriers between the countries now in Africa. So if it's that tough to communicate from one African country to another, clearly the global diaspora around the world, there's lacking communication. And we say, well, that's what we've got to do something about. And hopefully we can come out of this symposium with some ways and means to break down those barriers and get everybody working on the same note and on the same problem and in the same manner. And I think we'll have better solutions.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor. We'll take a short break here, and then when we'll come back, we'll continue with the conversation. Please stay with us, audience.
Okay.
Clevenard in Diaspora Television is an internet online TV service. What sets us apart is a unique combination of hit African content, first and exclusive international free movies, series, musics, news, events, documentaries, tourism, teleshopping shows, youth TV programs, and live interviews. Clevenard Diaspora Television is available throughout sub-Saharan Africa and to the diaspora markets worldwide. Take your entertainment with you wherever you go. Watch on your smartphone, tablet, laptop, smart TV, depending on your device. Watch free movies with Clevenard Movies Television. Stop searching for free movies websites and watch Clevenard Movies Television. Watch your favorite African shows anywhere at any time. Don't forget to check out our top 5 TV channels created to get you informed. TV1, Clevenard in Diaspora Television. TV2, Clevenard Youth Television. TV3, Clevenard Movies Television. TV4, Clevenard Teleshopping Television. TV5, Clevenard Tourism Television. To start watching, sign up at www.clevenard.com and follow the easy steps. Once you're done, log into the Clevenard website or app on your device, click on any one of our 5 TV channels, and hit play. We will be very satisfied and happy to welcome you to our team as one of our new business partners. Contact info@clevenard.com +34 631 279811. Website www.clevenard.com.
You're welcome back. It is still Unfiltered Conversation on Clevenard TV, and my guest is still Dr. Bankole Beech, and we are discussing the Global African Diaspora Symposium in Abuja, Nigeria. All right, Doctor, over to you. You are attending this event. All right, can you share with us what the planned programs for this event? What are the plans and programs?
Well, because we are in Abuja, clearly we expect to have some goodwill messages in the beginning of the program from many Nigerian officials. We believe that the president will actually welcome us to Nigeria. And after that, we expect to hear from other Nigerian officials expressing their support for what it is that we're doing. Likewise, we have other leaders of various organizations from around the globe that are going to welcome us to the symposium here in Abuja, Nigeria. And after that, we will begin our sessions where we will have particular topics that we're going to talk about. In other words, we're going to be able to talk about the health issues in Africa. We're going to talk about the agricultural abundance that Africa has. We're going to talk about trade among African countries and overseas. And we're going to talk about education, just where Africa stands on educational issues. Are we doing enough to help the children get the kind of education they need to succeed and excel in life? You know, we think that's very important.
All right. So what
and then we're going to talk between the diaspora and the African countries. What are they now and what should they be? And how can we make those relations better? And like I said, throughout the 2-day event, we expect to have various leaders globally, whether they're, cabinet secretaries or other permanent secretaries from various countries, to make statements and give us some thoughts, their thoughts about how the diaspora can be more helpful to some of the issues that they face in their countries. Like I said, it's primarily going to be a information sharing and hopefully a problem solving symposium.
Wow. And the program starts tomorrow, 27th?
Yes, it starts tomorrow morning at 8:30.
8:30 in the morning. Where is the venue, sir?
And so where does it go from there?
Yeah, the venue of this or the program or this.
Yeah, the venue is going to be at the presidential ballroom. It's on the complex of the presidential palace. And so the president was very generous to allow us to meet there. So that's where we're going to meet.
Talk extensively on the objective of GADS. All right, you talked about the group's ideal and visions and all. Well, let me get to you as a person, as an individual person. What are we expecting of you at the event? What are you presenting at the event?
Well, I'm one of the organizers. I'm one of the co-chair of the organizing committee. So what I'm going to present is a smooth flow of speakers for you. And we have the rapporteur at the end of the conference, and we're going to prepare a summary of the suggestions of each individual panel and present. So I'll be helping to organize that. But I'm not presenting on any specific topic. I'm probably going to present on all the topics at the final report.
All right, you know, we are right here in Africa. Thank God you just came into the country, which is Abuja, yesterday or very about. And we here, we are used to so many things. And like you said earlier, Nigeria, our Africa is so blessed with every natural resources. But at the end of it all, we are not seeing the effects of that natural resources on the life of the people. that are still suffering, that are still dealt in the healthcare sector, in the educational sector, even all the sector, it is not stable. Now you guys are coming in, you listen a collaboration of diaspora and the Africans solving these problems of Africa.
Well, like I said, we've got the leadership of various African countries are going to participate. We expect to have participation from the African Union as well, and we're expecting some guests from the United Nations to also come. So how they relate to each other is going to depend on them. We're there to facilitate and assist, and hopefully we'll come away with something that's compatible for everybody to embrace as we move forward. But we have to move forward. It's not enough to just identify a problem. We have to come up with solutions and then implement those solutions. It's going to require a lot of work and resources to do that. But it can happen. I mean, we got some of the smartest people in the world are going to be at this symposium. You know what I mean? So there's no reason why we can't come up with solutions to problems.
So, all right. So how often should we expect this kind of symposium? Is it going to be like yearly event, or is it going to take another 3 years for you to bring up or come up with something?
Well, the last one was 3 years ago, but we took a little time on this one. It just took time. It took more time than 2 years. We originally planned to do it every 2 years. And 2 years from now, we're going to do it again. Our third symposium is scheduled 2 years from now. We're not sure about the actual country yet, whether it's going to be another country in Africa like Zambia, or whether it's going to be in the Caribbean, Jamaica, perhaps is another possibility, or Barbados. But it is going to be in 2 years. It won't take us any longer than 2 years to put the next conference together.
It's all right. I know I've asked this question somehow before. All right, but I want to take it again in a more, let me just united way. Okay, what should Africans expect, okay, from the diaspora in building its economy?
You said, what should Africa expect from the diaspora?
Yeah, what should Africans expect? Because you're having an event now, and we talked about the after effects of the event. We discussed that earlier. But now, after the event, what should Africans expect in implementing your ideas in developing the African economy?
Well, I mean, if you look around Africa, every African country has some particular need. They have some resource requirement that they don't have. And we're saying collectively, the diaspora has a lot of resources. It has a lot of money, okay? And it's got a lot of training and experience and education. And if you can coordinate all those resources together, you can make a major impact in solving problems. I mean, that's how problems get solved. You got to come up with solutions. And I'm saying, if you've got the brightest minds in the world working with you to come up with a solution to your problem, the likelihood is that you will have a solution to the problem. I mean, human beings are smart when they work together.
Exactly.
I mean, you got some very smart people in Africa, and you got some smart people in the diaspora, and you put those two groups together, and hey, there's a lot that can happen, a lot that can go on positive. I mean, it's like a lot of countries, because some African countries are doing better than others. There's no doubt about it. They don't really need anybody. But a lot of countries do need some help from outside of their country. And the diaspora, like I said, I believe is a resource and a solution base for some of these problems. Mm-hmm. If Africa has more arable land, in other words, the agricultural industry is a big plus in Africa, okay? And if that's the case, Africa could feed not only itself, but it could feed the world. You know, we already know that Africa has more mineral resources than any other part of the world. You know, a lot of, and we're talking about diamonds and gold as well, you know.
So as somebody that is so passionate about the connection,
but you got to process.
All right, Doctor, as
Go ahead.
so that is so interested and passionate about the connection between Africa and the diaspora in building a better Africa. What is your appeal to all strategic stakeholders in Africa?
Well, the outcome has to be a better Africa, a better life for all the Africans that live here. And for those of us, some of us want to come back home. You know, we might want to relocate to Africa. Retiring, you know, a lot of people want to retire to Africa. They're not coming back to Africa to work. You know, we got some places in Africa, the minimum wage is less than $100 a month. In the United States, the minimum wage is $2,500 a month. Okay? The people that make that amount of money are not coming back to make $100 a month. They're not. But after they work for 20 years or 25 years, they want to retire and they have retirement benefits and pensions, they're going to want to come back to Africa. They're going to want to come back to the days of when life was easy, you know, and they have the resources, the money, they get a monthly check that they don't have to work for because they already work for it. And to have that monthly check and bring it home to Africa to spend, that's a fantastic circumstance for everybody.
All right.
So, I mean, these are some of the things that can happen with the diaspora, you know, and we're all looking forward to having that happen. Everybody wants to come home with some money. Nobody wants to come back to Africa broke. That's not going to work. You know, if you see the diaspora coming, saying they're coming back with some money. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being my guest this evening. But let's hear your last word, all right, for Africans or for those that will be participating in tomorrow's event on the Global African Diaspora Symposium. What is your last word for the stakeholders, for guests, the speakers, and all that?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand. What is the likelihood that you said State House? I didn't understand you.
Yeah, I mean, your last word for the viewers, for Africans, as regards the symposium.
Okay, maybe you need to just rephrase that a little bit so I can understand it better.
All right, I wanted you to leave us with your last word, okay, for Africans as it has to do with the global event. What is your last word for Africans?
Well, the last word really is that help is here. You know, the diaspora loves Africa and wants to help Africa in any way they can. And we intend to do that. We're available. You don't have to, Africa doesn't have to reach out to the former colonizers or anybody in China or Asia to help them out. If the diaspora is here, ready, willing, and able to help out. And because we're all in the same family, it should be a lot easier for us to do things for each other and for us to work together. So really, we're saying to Africa, we're coming home to help. Open your arms, open your hearts, open your homes to us.
That's a good one.
The diaspora is here.
So I guess Africans are going to be waiting expectantly for the help that you are just promising. All right, thanks so much, Doctor, for being my guest today. It was a pleasure having you with us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. All right, audience, you've heard it all from Dr. Malcolm Beech. We will draw the curtain here for today. Join us for another edition of this program. Till then, have a blessed evening.
Let's sell on your behalf. If your item sells on our web shop, you pay a 10% commission plus the transaction fees, and you get the rest. Register now at www.shop.clevenard.com. Start uploading your product and services. We can really sell it on your behalf so you can carry